Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. We are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Blair Witch Project that came out in 1999. I still remember, and I say this in every anniversary video, I still remember the day that this film came out. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see this movie at the cinema. I had no excuse though, because I was old enough to see this movie at the cinema. I was 15 years old when it came out, and it was a 15 here in the UK. And I genuinely can't remember why I didn't go and see it at the cinema, even though I was still excited about the movie when it came out. So I've got absolutely no excuse as to why I didn't see it. But my memory of the film, now before I get into my memory, I will go on and tell you that I always put out a post before recording this or recording these videos for you to tell me your memories of the specific film that I'm talking about in the videos. And I've asked you to tell me your memories of the Blair Witch Project. Now, I don't know why, but this seems to be the most popular one because I got lots, I was going to say hundreds there, I got lots and lots of memories from you guys. Unfortunately, I can't read them all out, but I will read some of them out at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully your comment gets read out at the end of the video. Like most of you guys, I was duped into thinking this film was real. I thought it was a real snuff movie that we were watching in front of our eyes. And the reason for that, and I'm sure you'll agree if you're around about the same age as me, is before we got to see the film, there was a documentary that was on TV. Now, we didn't have the internet, or we did have the internet, but not everyone had access to it. But there was this documentary on TV about the curse of the Blair Witch. And it went right into like these student filmmakers get into the woods, disappearing and stuff. And it made it look as if it had nothing to do with the movie. It made it look as if there was no movie involved, or at least there was no footage that was going to be released at the cinema. So when we were watching this documentary, we were like, oh wow, this seems so crazy. And then they announced straight after it that there was not a film. They didn't really announce it as a film. They announced that they were going to release the footage as part of a film, as a documentary, so that we could see it at the cinema. And we didn't really question ourselves into thinking, well, why would you do that? I don't think you would allow, or the families wouldn't allow you to release footage of their children and brothers and sisters possibly being killed on screen and then showing it to the world in the cinema. It just was unheard of. But because it was 1999, a lot of people were duped into thinking it was real, including myself. So we did go into the movie thinking we were about to watch something that was so real, and it wasn't. But like I said, I didn't get to see it at the cinema, so I had to wait until it came out for renting. So it was like the end of 1999 when I first watched the movie. People already spoke about it, saying it's so real, you need to watch it. So I was so amped up between July and possibly November, December time when I first watched the movie. And when I watched it, I was gobsmacked. I was like, this is the scariest movie I've ever seen. And I know that people say, well, nothing happens in it, but that's the beauty of this film. The fact that nothing happens, but you're still scared. It's obviously done its job. So I watched it and I was like, oh my God, I need to research this. As the internet came around about 2000, 2001, it was just ripe for us to investigate for ourselves as to what happened. But as we were investigating what happened, IMDb had the cast members down as being dead, or at least they died in 1994. And we're like, this must be real. IMDb says it's real. Other websites are saying it's real, and there was no information of them. They did sign a contract, or they signed something, the three actors, to say that they weren't going to appear in public or go online, if they could go online at the time, to say that they were still alive. So they went to all these depths to say that this film was absolutely real, similar to what they'd done with Cannibal Holocaust back in 1980. But only this time it was a larger scale because it was more worldwide. More people were interested in seeing what happened with this Blair Witch Project. I think over time though, when you find out that it's not real, I don't think you're disappointed because you were duped, but you were happily duped because you look back and go, I thought that was real 1 or 2 years ago. I'm glad I thought it was real because my experience was a lot better. And that's why I think people watching the Blair Witch Project today, whether it be for the first time, second time or whatever, it doesn't have the impact now as it did back in 1999. I think to understand this film, you had to have seen it at possibly a younger age, to be a little bit more naive, be a younger age and watch it back in the late 90s, the early noughties to get that experience as to This is a found footage movie. We don't see them anymore. Blair Witch Project brought back the found footage genre, and it brought it back with a bang. There have been hundreds of found footage movies that came out since the Blair Witch Project with bigger budgets, better camera work and better acting as well. But if you ask me, does the Blair Witch Project hold up today as it did back in 1999? Absolutely. And I don't say that a lot about some films because some films just don't hold up very well, especially when movies come out that do it bigger and better. But with the Blair Witch Project, no film has been able to replicate the marketing, the quality, the sheer visceral fear that we had watching this film. No film in the found footage genre has been able to replicate that since the Blair Witch Project. So if you ask me, the Blair Witch Project absolutely holds up today. In today's society, especially with the younger generation, they want to see things. So if this came out today, they'd want to see the Blair Witch. They'd want to see more characters getting killed, more characters going missing. They want to see a better quality. They don't want to see a lot of the shaky cam. So there's a lot of things I can understand that just some people wouldn't respect today. And if my children watch this film, they don't like it, I would be like, that's fine. You had to have seen it at the time. It's the same with me watching a film 25 years before 1999. I would watch that film and go, it's a little dated, it's not for me. And that's absolutely fine. And I'm sure the previous generation before me would laugh at me or just say, that's fine, you're a little bit too young and naive. And I probably was. And it's the same with the new generation now. I think they would look at it and go, it's not for me, but it's absolutely fine. Looking back on the Blair Witch Project after 25 years, I would still say that this is probably still the best found footage film of all time. There are some found footage movies that have come close over the years, but I think looking back, the Blair Witch Project still for me is the best one. And I think I've done a few videos about it, like the best found footage movies, etc. The Blair Witch Project still has to be up there. I was absolutely obsessed with the Blair Witch Project for a good 4 or 5 years after the movie came out because it did have a big impact on me for my experience coming into the horror genre as a teenager. And if I can find it, I will include it in this video, guys. If I can find it, there's a video that me and my little brother made of the Blair Witch Project, a little fan film, a little short movie. If I can find some footage of it, I'll include it in this here. But it was terrible, but at the time, all we were doing is we wanted to replicate what they'd done in the Blair Witch Project, and we had a lot of laughs trying to make something like this. And remember this, the video that we made was in 2003, so it was 21 years ago that I made this video, and it was just me and my little brother going about the woods and pretending to be lost in the woods like it was a Blair Witch Project, trying to replicate some of the words. My little brother was doing most of the talking, and it was absolutely terrible, but it was good fun.
I need to say sorry. There's people here. Josh! The boy broke my pencil. Mom! Jimmy's mom. What was that? I'm scared. I want to say sorry to Josh's mom. Sarah's mom. Jimmy. I'm so scared of him. So I want to say sorry to everybody that I killed.
You ever kill anybody with a witch?
That I've been killed.
Oh, this way.
That I've been killed.
It's your fault because it's your project.
I'm sorry, it's my project. I killed anybody.
Look at them boogies.
Of course, we had sequels to the Blair Witch Project as well that didn't quite work. We had the Book of Shadows in 2000 that came a little bit too soon, and it was too movie quality for what we wanted in a sequel to the Blair Witch. And then we got Blair Witch in 2016, which was actually a decent film. I quite liked it. One of the better found footage movies out there that doesn't quite get the recognition that it deserves. Maybe it showed a little bit too much though. We got a little bit more of the Blair Witch that maybe some people didn't want to see, and that's when you have to try and balance it, because people wanted to see the Blair Witch, and that's why they didn't like the Blair Witch Project. But when they show the witch in the Blair Witch Project, the Blair Witch in 2016, people are like, well, I don't like that. I didn't want to see it. So it's trying to get that happy medium. And I know that they're doing another couple of Blair Witch Project movies with Blumhouse. Don't know how they're going to work out, but time will tell. So it's time to go into the comments, guys. Again, I can't read them all out, unfortunately, but I will read some of them out as best as I can. Again, I'm going to have to ignore the ones that you're not really giving me your memories, because I'm asking for the memories. So some of the ones that I've read are great comments, but just not memories of the film. So I have to leave some of those out if I can. So again, thanks to everyone who's left a memory. I did read them all. Just because I'm not reading them out here doesn't mean I didn't read them. So I'm just going to start reading them just now. So first one we've got is Aliens on VHS. Now, they said, I was a big importer of DVDs back in the day, and luckily for me, this came out months before the UK release in the US. So I purchased a copy and had a few friends over to watch it. My friend who lives near the woods was not happy about the walk home. That reminds me, and I'm glad I read that comment out, we didn't get it in July. I know it came out in July in the US, which is why I'm doing this 25th anniversary. But yeah, we got it a couple of months later. So I must have seen it at the beginning of 2000. That's when I would have watched the movie. But yeah, never going to the woods again. Next up, we've got LucasFan375. They said, I rented it from Blockbuster as a kid, expecting to see an actual witch chasing them all over the forest. But what I got was even better. This movie freaked me out because what you don't see is scarier than what you do see. Even though the witch isn't shown on screen, the terror the characters are expressing is more than enough. Awesome movie. 100% Lucas, that's exactly how I felt about it. The less you see, the more you're scared because you don't know what they're looking at. You don't know what they're scared of. And seeing their reactions, which were fantastic, you're like, oh my God, they must really be scared here. And I'm really scared for them because what I'm looking at is real. Next up, we've got Jareda, apologies. They said, I was 6 years old. My whole family went to see it. We had relatives from out of town visiting. I vividly remember the crowds for this movie and the auditorium being completely full. Watching the film was mind-blowing and terrifying, with the audiences reacting and laughing along. I remember afterwards my dad and several family members were annoyed and let down, but I also recall many audience members walking out shaking and women crying. The hype was real, and it's still one of my favourite memories ever. Same, absolutely same with me. No, I did, even though I love the film, and I know that a lot of people love the film, I know that some people don't like it, and they thought it was a waste of time at the time as well, and that's absolutely fine, but seeing people shaking, walking out crying, I would have loved to experience that at the time, but unfortunately I couldn't. Next up, we've got Board Now 5838. They said, saw it when it came out, love it then, and still holds up now. It was really ahead of its time, and how they filmed it and promoted it was unique. I've still got a t-shirt of The Missing poster, which I got for £3.99 in my local Virgin Megastore. Oh, I love Virgin Megastore. We had one in Glasgow that was like 4 levels tall, and I had DVD after DVD after DVD, and obviously t-shirts as well. But yeah, I love that Missing poster that everybody wore back in the day as well. That's fantastic. Next, James Abernathy 7896 said, I often point out that I recently got into horror, and this was probably the first pure horror movie I watched. I had seen ones like Aliens and The Thing, which have strong horror elements, but I was drawn to them mostly because of the sci-fi elements. I would have seen this on TV late at night by myself, I'm guessing 2003, 2004. I fell in love with this movie and immediately bought it on DVD. Love it. Absolutely love it. Chris Manley, 1994, said, I watched it in drama class in high school because my teacher had a hangover. Hell of a way to remember this movie, and it worked because I've never forgotten it. That's funny you should say that, Chris, and you've just unlocked another memory for me. I brought this VHS of the Blair Witch Project into my class. It wasn't drama, it was media studies, where we're watching films like Saving Private Ryan and stuff. And it had to be 15s or under. Because it was a 15, I brought it in, and my teacher agreed to watch it for the class, and we watched it in class as well, all thanks to me. Russell Logan said, I was in high school when this film came out. I didn't get a chance to see it at the theatres, but I went to Blockbuster Video to rent this on VHS. I remember they had a big shelf of them, and they were almost gone when I got home and watched it. It freaked me out. I didn't know what I was seeing. It genuinely scared me, and not a lot of horror movies do that. Only a handful. This is a great, awesome classic. That's what I call it now. 25 years later, Russell, it is an absolute classic. Jordan Moran, 1983. Hiya, Jordan. Jordan said, I'm afraid my recollection was underwhelming. One of my mates immediately said, well, that was beep, and half the screening started beeping themselves. I honestly never bought into the true story stuff at the time and didn't have the internet to see the website to let my imagination run wild. Even as early as the late 90s, I was a cynical beep. Mind you, it was better than when I talked a bunch of mates into going to see the Psycho remake. Oh, that was terrible. My movie choosing privileges was revoked from then on. You probably can't use this story in the episode for the harsh language. Apologies, Barry. Don't worry, I bleeped it all out for you. Crystal Morton said, it was a late night after hours, staff film preview after a couple of pints in Woodrow Wilson's at the old Lonsdale Cinema in Carlisle. Sadly no longer there. I was about to ask, is that even there anymore? We were all very creeped out. Well, if you're having a few pints as well and you're talking to a bunch of mates as well, I think that's the best experience to have with a film like The Blair Witch Project, because some of you will laugh, some of you will close your eyes and cover your eyes. I think it's a great experience. Steve McCoy said, I remember before the movie came out that I had checked out the website they had created for the movie, and everything that was on the website was saying it was real. I'd done the same. I talked a lot of my cousins into researching it too, and when it came out, there was about 5 or 6 of us who went to see it. I'm not exaggerating when I say that it's the only movie I've watched that had me weak in the knees, getting up from my seat when it was over. The whole group of us stayed awake until morning discussing what we had witnessed. It wasn't until later that we found that it was fake. It remains one of my favourite theatre experiences to this day. I'd done the exact same thing as you, Steve, apart from go to the cinema to see it, and that's my one biggest regret, not seeing it at the cinema. Maybe they'll bring it out again and I'll go and see it at the cinema, but your experience of seeing the film, researching it with your friends and family, that's exactly what I done. Callan Hewitt said, me and a couple of friends watched it at the flicks believing it was real. Walking back home was probably one of the scariest moments of my life, but then again, we were only 13. To this day, I had never seen so many people leave the cinema early because they were terrified. It was more than a film, it was an event. It absolutely was. That's 100% correct, Callan. It wasn't just a movie, it was an event. Mikey Williams said, this movie terrifies me to this day. I'm still scared to camp in the woods at night, and that guy in the corner, goosebumps. Now, this guy's name's Mikey Williams, so I had to ask him, are you Mike Williams? Because Mike Williams is the character who was standing in the corner. But no, it wasn't. It was just Mikey Williams. Paul Lavender said, Saturday the 30th of October, Leicester, Odeon, me and my mate Lee both thought it was ace. 1999 was a good year. The fact that you remember the date you went to see it and the place that you saw it as well, Paul, means that you had a great time. So I love to hear people saying not only did they remember the movie, they remember where they were, who they were with, and what date it was. I'll read one more out, guys. We've got Killian H. Gore. Killian said, seeing the Blair Witch Project in the cinema is one of my most vivid memories of seeing a film on the big screen. I had never seen an audience not move from their seats as the credits rolled before, and I've not seen it since. It was like everyone was in a collective state of shock at the horror we just witnessed. Again, I just wish I saw it at the cinema, because some of the comments that you guys are saying about your experiences in the cinema just makes me so jealous and makes me think, why am I doing this video? Hopefully though, one day I get to experience what you guys experienced in the cinema. We'll maybe get an anniversary for a cinematic release, and I'll get to see it eventually. Like I said, guys, I had lots and lots more comments that I could have read out, but I don't want the video to last too long. But rest assured, I did read them all. I appreciate all the memories that you guys have left. Some of the memories brought back some memories for me as well, which is one of the greatest reasons for doing these videos, because it unlocks things in my mind, in your mind, that we just forgot we had. So keep them coming when I do more of these anniversary videos. But again, thanks a lot for leaving all your memories, because I absolutely love every one of them, and look out for more. So after 25 years, guys, how does the Blair Witch Project hold up today? Is it still as effective today as it was back in 1999? Leave your comments down below, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!